Okay, I'm starting. Today we're continuing and finishing chapter 13, which is dealing with the Beinoni and finishing to get to know the weaknesses of the Beinoni. So today we're going to explain something new. It's the concept of truth. And from that point of view, we're going to understand what is the expectation of the Beinoni. So when you think about truth, okay, I guess I'll start with a perfect joke for you to understand what truth is. There was this man that went around, he went to a forest. Now, it wasn't a forest of trees, but it was a forest of candles. Whatever, he went basically to this massive place that had a ton of candles. Each candle corresponded to another human being. And so all the human beings were into candles in that room. And what was cool is that each candle was basically oil with a wick, and each one had a different amount of oil. And depending how much oil there was, it meant how many years the person has left. So if there's a little bit of oil, it means that, he's not behaving so great, he's almost dying or whatever it is, and whichever way you want to interpret it. So this man walks around at all the candles, and he's like, you know what, let me check out how my enemies are doing. And he's fighting them, and he sees, oh, they're the oil is very low. So he's like, okay, that's a good sign. That means like it's true, like they deserve to. Like, thank God they're almost living. Their thing is very low. And then he's like, oh, let me look at mine. Where's my candle? Let's see where I'm holding. And he sees that his candle also has very low amount of oil. And he's making sure no one's looking around. And he wants to add oil from another one to his. And whoever was in charge over there caught him and says, 1 second, this place, that's the world of truth. You can't do that. So what we see is that a lot of people, they go in a place of truth. They're looking for the truth, but then you don't even realize, and you can't handle the truth. So very, very often we do the same thing. We're looking for truth, but then we don't want to find the truth. So a lot of people are looking for truth, but very few really want to know the truth. Like it's very tricky. Now, another analogy for us to get into the lesson is that there was two people were fighting. You owe me money, you don't owe me money, and they're fighting, and they go to the rabbi, and one person says, it's sticky, but it's very yummy. One person goes to, so they come to the rabbi, and the first person says, he owes me this and this much money. And the rabbi says, I hear you, you're right. You're saying the truth. And then the other person is saying, no, I don't owe him any money. And the rabbi tells him, you're also saying the truth. And then the wife of the rabbi was in the kitchen, but she was overhearing everything, and she comes and she's like, 1 second, what's going on here? One is saying he owes money, one is saying he doesn't owe money, and they're both saying the truth. And the rabbi tells her, you're also saying the truth. So behind this joke, there's a real question. Is there only one truth, or is there a truth? Each person has their own truth. Like, is there only one, or is it like a relative truth that each one, this is my truth, this is your truth, and we can live together? Like,
it's perspective.
So everybody can have their opinion, and it's their truth. So there's no one big truth. It's mainly each one has their truth. Okay, so it's getting complicated. So today we need to understand what's truth. And we're going to understand all the facets of truth. And inside ourselves, we really are looking for the truth. Like, we want the truth. But as we said, a lot of people are looking for the truth, but very few are ready to see what's the truth. And because the truth is actually very demanding, And like it's, if you see the truth, it might not feel comfortable for you. So we don't really want to know the truth. We'd rather be with our own truth and in a comfortable way. Sometimes the truth even looks like it's something very far from us and very impossible for us. Like we don't want to see the real truth. So we're going to today see a new deep meaning of truth according to Chassidut, according to the Tanya that we're going to learn today. First, we're going to see one side. The first side is how the truth is actually, yes, demanding, and there's no compromises over there. And then we're going to see that there's a second side where the truth is flexible, okay, and we can be adapted to each one. And then we're going to see how the two work together. So yes, there is a big one demanding truth, and then there's an adaptable type of truth. So we have three truths, and that's the three parts of the lesson. There's a truth, there's a real truth, which is basically an eternal truth. We'll explain it. Then there's a relative truth, depending on each thing. And then there's a truth called the truth of Yaakov. We'll talk about Yaakov, the third of the three fathers, and the concept of Tiferet, harmony, and truth, how they work together. Okay. So let's first look at the simple meaning of truth, okay? Can you give me a synonym, any synonym that comes to your mind when I tell you the word lie? The word lie. Another word for lying. Manipulating, misleading.
There's white lie.
You can use the chat, by the way, on the Zoom.
There's white lie.
What?
Like a white lie is like a lie to cover or something. Like
it covers up.
It's a lie that's nice,
but it's a lie
to protect. Yeah,
but it's misleading based on what you're saying.
I mean, like if someone passes away and you don't want to tell the family members, so you kind of like, because you don't want them to hurt, so you kind of lie, like
you can avoid, but if you're lying, if you make up a story, then you're lying. You're not facing the truth.
Okay, so like, but white lie is just like trying. Yeah, it's still a lie, but it's just like a nice, a nicer way.
Anyway, I'm not looking for a type of lie. I'm looking for what is a lie. Okay, a lie is misleading, and you said manipulating, cheating. Somebody's saying here, Pinocchio, pathologic liar. Okay, it's cheating. Lying is cheating. Okay. Now, give me synonyms of the word truth. Honest. Integral. Natural. Natural. What's okay? Instinct. You mean the first instinct is the truth? You're saying okay? Yeah, it's the true you. Reality. Yeah. Okay, so in general, honesty, yeah. So in general, we see that truth is the opposite of lie, because lie, whatever, is misleading, cheating, and the other one is like straight up. Okay, so and we think that truth is only if it's like real, it's reality, it's real, and it's proven, then it's true. Right? Like if it can be proven, then it's a reality, then it's true. But a person that lies, it means that he's saying something that never happened. It's not a reality, the lie, right? And a person that's saying something true, it means that it happens. It is a reality, right? That's the basic view of how we understand truth. And also in life, when we say somebody's going after the truth, it means that he's going for something that's right, something that's proven, as opposed to a fantasy, as opposed to something made up, right? That's the basic understanding. But Torah tells us that not everything that is not a lie is true. And Chassidut tells us, it's a little deep, but we'll explain it. The Chassidut tells us that what is not true is already a lie. So truth really has a much deeper meaning. What is Chassidut telling us about truth? Truth means that it's something eternal. It's always existing. It exists from the beginning through the middle till the end. Okay? It was always true, and it's always going to be true. It needs to exist forever. It can't be something temporary. If you look at the word emet in Hebrew, Aleph is the first letter, Mem is the middle letter, and Taf is the last letter. If something is true, it's got to be true throughout. Okay, that's what true is. It's eternal. Okay, so according to this, something that exists only for temporarily is not true. Okay. Also, an example is a very easy example to understand. This is love. If it's real love, it's going to last from the beginning through the middle till the end. If it's dependent on something and it's not very real, then it might not last. It's only going to be short-lived. Okay, and it means that it may not have ever been true to begin with, right? Because it's like temporary. Even if it's a strong love for temporary, but it might not be real, because if it's real and if it's true, it's got to be eternal. It's going to be from the beginning till the end, through the middle, all along. Okay, that's what Chassidus is using up. Also, another example is that a lot of times we have ideas. We take on an initiative, we take on a project, and it sounds very amazing. It sounds powerful. It sounds real, but if it's not going to be followed up until the end, like if it's not actually going to happen till the end, then it was just an idea. There wasn't truth. Truth is something that needs to exist from the beginning till the end. Okay. And King Shlomo tells us, we'll see, the Tanya is going to quote it. Sfat emet tikon la'ad, truthful speech abides forever. Something that's true is forever. And then he says, if it's a lie, it's only for a moment. It's only going to be, so King Shlomo, the wisest man of all men, he also said it, that if it's true, it's forever, it's everlasting, it's eternal. If it's a lie, it's going to be short-lived, because truth is independent. It's not dependent on something. And what's true? What's real truth? What's the easiest thing that you can give me as an example that's eternal, that it was, always is, will be Torah. Another example, Hashem. Torah and Hashem. Okay, it was, it is, it will be, it's everlasting, and it's not conditional to anything. It's there to be. Okay. It says Hashem in Yirmiyahu, it says Hashem Elokim Emet, Hu Elokim Chayim. Okay. Hashem is the true Hashem, and that's a living Hashem. Like it's forever and ever, because Hashem is true. Hashem is true. And the Torah is also called Torat Emet, as you said. The Torah comes from Hashem. Hashem is true. The Torah is true. They're both internal, and they're not changing, and they're not dependent on anything. It's not temporary, and it's not dependent. There's a story. The Alter Rebbe came out of jail, and he wrote that I'm so low, I'm so low compared to all the Hasidim, because of the truth. And basically, he gave a warning to all the Jews then that there's nothing more important than the truth. And he said that, and he warned all the Hasidim not to humiliate the mitnagdim, like the people that put him, like the people that told on him and the people that got him into jail, not to despise them, not to humiliate them. And the main thing is that there should be a truth of Yaakov. And what happened from that, very, very interesting, because of that, because he warned that there's nothing more important than the truth, he ended up having, it says that he lost, if he wouldn't say that it needs to be true, like the truth of Yaakov, he would have attracted another 50,000 Hasidim he would have another 50,000 followers, which he did not have, because he kept to the truth. He kept to the true Torah, and he wasn't going to change anything, and he wanted to be so true that he lost people on the way, because if you adapt the Torah to more people, you can attract more people. But he didn't, and he said there's nothing more important than the truth, and that's why. And it says that he lost 50,000 students. So meaning that if the demands would be more compromised, if they wouldn't ask for everything to be done properly according to truth, more people would become Chabad. More people would be following the author of the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe. But it says that he actually, the Alter Rebbe, the one that wrote the Tanya, he wants truth. He wants us to have the trait, the character of truth, okay? And he's ready to lose tons of people, and not everybody will follow him, because the main thing is that he is on the truth path. So all this is an introduction to the Beinani. Okay, we are meant to be a Beinoni, right? And we're a Beinoni, but not a tzaddik, right? So if I'm telling you all this about truth, so the tzaddik is truth. He's only following Hashem, he's only doing what's right, and it's eternal, and it's always, and it's never changing. The Beinoni, does the Beinoni sound like he's on a path of truth based on all that? We're temporary, we're fluctuating, we have our ups and downs. We're not all the time saying that Hashem is everything, like we're not perfect, and we have like a lot of falling off this truth. Like our love for Hashem is not constant as much as by the tzaddik, right? So we have now, so comes a very big question. One second. So here is a very big question, and that's the question that the Alter Rebbe is going to ask also. Okay, if the Torah is true and Chassidut tells us to be true, how can we tell the Beinoni about that? And how does it tell us that we are Beinoni if we're basically not able to reach this level of truth? We're basically a Beinoni is a compromise of truth. We're not truth based on all this. So we're going to need to understand how to make this work together. So we're going to look at the Tanya, how he explains everything we said about the idea of truth and how it doesn't make sense for Beinoni, because that all this sounds like a tzaddik. He's going to tell us an example that the Beinoni, when we're praying, we're very close to Hashem, but a second after we're praying, we're down, like we're not in the world of the truth, right? The tzaddik, the love of Hashem is constant, okay? And he's going to tell us, and he's going to bring the pasuk that I told you from King Shlomo, that if it's eternal, it's truth, and if it's uneternal, if it's temporary, if it's temporary, it means that it's not, if it's a lie, it's temporary. So let's look at the Tanya, second. Okay. Now, this aforementioned love attained by Beinanim at the time of prayer, by virtue of the temporary preponderance of the divine soul over the animal soul, when compared to the standard of tzaddikim who serve God in perfect truth, in the truest manner of truth. If you see in Hebrew, he says be'emet la'amito, okay, in the truth of the truth, then it's not called true service at all, since it passes and disappears after prayer. By the Beinoni, that's not truth. Like that, it's not there all the time. Whereas it is written, the language, lip to lip. So here is this is the sentence from King Shlomo. Sfat emet tikon la, the language of truth shall be established forever, but the tongue of falsehood is only momentary. Okay, so here it says, this is a big problem. If truth is everlasting and anything that's temporary is lie, then that's only the tzaddik. Then a Beinoni is not in the path of truth. So that's the question. Okay, and that's really the first type of truth that we saw, which is really basically the ultimate truth, the perfect truth. Like there's one truth, and it's God, and it's Torah, and there's nothing else. Right? God is true, the Torah is true, and there's nothing else. Like it's one absolute truth. And what are we expected to do as a Beinoni? We're never going to reach this truth. Like we're in a world of lies. No. So now we need to look at the second side of the coin. Okay, there's what we want and there's what actually is, right? There's a very big gap between what needs to happen and where we are. We're humans, we have limitations, we have weaknesses, and there's no way we can reach this perfect truth. That's just a fact. And the Alter Rebbe knows it. He's talking to us, right? So the question comes, is there only one ultimate truth, or is there one truth for every single person, which is how we started our class, because we need to see how these two work together. So seemingly, based on everything we said until now, there's one truth, and you can't compromise on this truth. Okay, either it's true or it's not. Now, if we say that each one has their own truth, it's almost like a lie, because it means that you're basically saying there's no truth. Like each one can make up whatever they want. If you're saying each one has their own truth, you're basically saying there's no one big truth. It's only dependent on your truth. So if our requirement is to serve Hashem with the full truth, right? If that's the requirement, very few people can manage to serve Hashem with that full truth. There's very few tzaddikim. And if our goal is to be only truth, we're all going to fail, and it's not going to be reachable for any of us. And it's and we're going to fail very quickly. So the Alter Rebbe is here to tell us something new over here. He's saying there's also a relative truth. Okay, each one has their own truth. Okay, it doesn't mean that each one does whatever he feels like. Okay, that's not true, because that's just comfort. What is the truth of each one? The idea is that each one is required to do his personal maximum, his truth. Okay, we're talking real, okay? We're in the real world over here. But the real truth is what you are capable of doing and what you are required from Hashem to do based on your situation, okay? So Hashem only demands from us to do based on our capabilities, based on how much strength we have. Hashem doesn't demand from us to do something that we can't. So he's telling you, your truth, that's how much I'm expecting from you, okay? We see it actually in the Shema. We say it every day. Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. You should love Hashem, your God. B'chol levavecha, with all your heart. B'chol nafshecha, with all your soul, and with all your might. And when it says, me'odecha, with all your power, that's how much you need to love Hashem. With all your might. And it says, not with all the power, with all the power. It says with all your power. The power that you have, you need to give it your all, and that's how much your truth is expected to love Hashem. Okay, so it's very personal, but it is your maximum, and nobody's judging it. It's between you and Hashem, and you know what is your maximum, and we will learn more next week about how much our maximum is. Like next week, like now we're talking about our weaknesses, and then next in chapter 14 we're going to talk about how much we're capable of. So we'll get there, but that's what we're expected. We're expected to do most, and to the point of even mesirut nefesh, to give up our comfort, to give up, and that's how much we need to serve Hashem. That's our truth, okay? And to that, there's no limits. Like I'm saying, we have to go as much as our capability lets us, okay? Also, for example, you can't expect a child the same thing you're expecting from an adult, right? The way the adult is going to clean is not the same way the child is going to clean their toys. Like it's different expectations. Now, back to our tzaddik and Beinani. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe asked the question: if the Beinani has ups and downs, how can we require to serve Hashem with our full truth? So he's telling us here something new. Yes, the tzaddikim serve Hashem constantly. There's no changes. Okay, that's great. But for the Beinani, true serving Hashem has ups and downs. Okay, that's truth. Okay, because we are born with the Yetzer Hara, and that's not going to change. He's there to stay. And a Beinani is not expected steady, constant work, steady, constant love of Hashem. That's fine. Okay, there's always going to be a war inside the Beinani. The main thing is the Beinani must win at the end. Like on the outside, his clothing always have to do what Hashem wants. But in the end of the game, the Alter Rebbe knows who the Beinani is, and he's telling you, reach your full potential. That's the idea. Reach your full truth, your full. Now, the idea of not copying somebody else, and we have to stay with our own truth. There's a story of Rabbi Mendel of Kotsk. Not a story, a beautiful anecdote. I actually wanted to search for the song, but I guess I'll share it with you later. If I am I, because you are you, then I am not I, and you are not you. But if I am I because I am I, and you are you because you are you, then I am I, and you are you. So each one needs to stay and own who they are, and not compare themselves. I need to be like this because you're like that. That's you're not going to get anywhere like that. Okay, everybody needs to be with their truth. Okay, so we're going to look at this type of truth, this relative. We're going to call it the relative truth, like the personal truth for each one in the Tanya, and we're going to see how it's going to explain that the work of a Beinani is truth. It is truth. Okay, and it's truth according to his capabilities. He explains that there's a feeling of love of Hashem by the Beinani during prayer. Okay, and that's a true feeling. While he's praying, the love that he has, even if it's temporary, but it's it is truth. Okay, even if it fades away after, it is truth, because the Beinani always has the potential inside of him to love Hashem. The potential inside is constant. The potential is what's like forever. The Beinani always wants to do what's right, but he has a Yetzer Hara and he's constantly fighting inside. But there's something constant where he wants to do what's right and he has a potential to do what's right. So the feeling of wanting and the capabilities are always existent. I want to note, very interesting, that when we're going to read the Tanya, this is the only time in the Tanya that the Alter Rebbe uses the first person. He always talks in the third person, like he and he should, and the Beinani should and he should. But here he's gonna come up as himself, because he's advocating. He's passionate and advocating for the Beinani. He's like, I'm telling you, the Beinani is true. Like, it's very powerful. So you'll see it in the eye, how he wants to say, 1 second, even though you think it's not true, no, I'm telling you, I know the Beinani. So here we go. So, nevertheless, in relation to the rank of the Beinani, this level of love is regarded as truly perfect service in terms of their level of truth, the level of the Beinani, in each man relative to his standing in the category of the Beinani. For, as mentioned earlier, the rank of the Beinani is subdivided into many levels. Their love, too, which they possess only during prayer, I term the language of truth shall be established forever. Their love is true and permanent through manifest only during prayer. Since their divine soul has the power to reawaken this love constantly whenever it gathers strength during prayer day after day, by means of the spiritual preparation appropriate to each soul's quality and rank. Okay, this is it. Yeah. The I term, it's not very well translated here, but I wanted to show it to you in Hebrew. It says, V'hareini kore be'avatam. I am calling to their love. Like the hareini, it's like, it means, that's where the I language is, okay? It's translated like backwards. It ends by saying that it's the I term. But this is where he's saying, I know that their prayer is true. Even though it's temporary, I'm telling you, their prayer is real love. Their prayer is true, okay? So that's the second type of truth. In a way, we have two truths. We have the truth that's eternal, and we at the same time have a truth that is relative, okay, to each person, but it's the truth. It's not just like a comfort type of truth. It's a real truth of your true potential and your true capabilities. Okay, now, if we look at these two types of truth, it sounds like one is ideal and one is a compromise. Like one is like the way it should really be, like a tzaddik, like it's only true. And one, because he's not able to, so we're going to compromise and we're going to tell him that what he does is cute and it's also true. It sounds like that, right? Like because we have no choice and because he has weaknesses, so we're going to call it true. But Chassidut is telling us that it's not as a b'di'evet, like it's not like by the way and only because, and it's not that. No, it's not because there's no choice that it's true. It's real truth. And how come? So now we need to see a new level of truth, a very deep level of what truth is. So we're going to learn this from Yaakov. Yaakov, we have Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. So, and it says that Yaakov is, it says, Titen emet leYaakov. Yaakov is known for his attribute of truth. And how do we know? There's a lot of ways that we can see how Yaakov is true, but I'll mention to you a few. Avraham was, I'll go right there. There's also Yaakov is also known for the attribute of Tiferet. Tiferet is harmony. There's kindness, severity, and harmony. Avraham was very, very, very kind. Okay, he had guests, generous, etc. Yitzchak was very strict, and Yaakov had harmony. And how do we know that this harmony worked best and was the way that we should be, and the way that was successful, and the way that is true? Because again, truth is something that needs to be eternal. Avraham, he educated his children with kindness. He was so kind that he let Ishmael do whatever he wants. And the end of the game is that one of his sons is a Jew and one of his sons is not. Okay. Same story with Yitzhak. Yitzhak had so much severity. He had two sons. He had Yaakov and Esau. One was the father of all the Jewish people, and one was a wicked person. Okay, that's the result of his severity. But if you look at the way Yaakov educated his children, he had 12 tribes. All his children and all his grandchildren and all his generations, they all have Jewish souls, and they're all following the Jewish path. Each one in their own unique way. It was a harmony. He was each one judging. This one needs more kindness. This one needs more severity. Let me see where's the middle path for this child. And he was thinking through what each child specifically needs and created a certain harmony. And that's the way he educated the children. And we know that the way he did it, that's truth, because it's true from beginning till the end, everlasting. There's something unique about Yaakov compared to Abraham and Yitzhak. Do you see that? Now, in a way, you would tell me that harmony is flexibility, and this, then it's the opposite of truth. Truth is extreme, right? Like you can think that truth and harmony is extreme, but if you look at Yaakov, it worked very well together, as I just described to you. Okay, Hashem is not like the idea that Hashem is true doesn't mean that it's limited and doesn't mean that it has like limitations. Okay, if it can't be in the world because if Hashem can't come in the world or can't bring something in the world because it's going to be temporary, then it means that whatever Hashem does or whatever things are in the world, they are all limited. If anything is limited by a place or limited by a condition, then it means that it's not true. But it can't be that way. Like it has to be that whatever is godly, even if it's in a specific place and even if it's a specific item or even if it's a specific condition, then it has to be true, right? Hashem is not limited. Hashem is everywhere, okay? And Hashem's truth is in everything. Okay, even those temporary things, those temporary objects, or those temporary places, or temporary people, or whatever it is, there's a truth inside each thing. There's a truth of Hashem inside every creation. And we're going to explain this. Hashem's truth is really only one truth. Okay, Hashem is one absolute amazing truth, right? Torah is an amazing truth. It's a perfect truth. But in every situation, you can find the truth in that specific situation from the true point of that situation. Like there's a point in everything that's true. And you have to find that little point within every little thing and every little place and every little person. There is a point of truth in everything. Okay. And this point is absolute truth, even if it's even if it's in a thing. That's why truth works together with Tiferet, with harmony. Okay, it's really two sides of the same idea. It's exactly the same two sides that we spoke about during the class. There's one side of truth that is absolute, that is a real truth. And at the same time, there is a truth corresponding to every single situation. But they both have to be there at the same time, and I'm going to explain to you how. 1 second. Okay. So the main example is you saw it by Yaakov, how it worked both of them together. Another example is Torah. Torah is true, okay? It's one absolute truth. It's eternal and it can never change. But on the other hand, the Torah, it can approach a bunch of different circumstances, okay? It can go inside each thing, and sometimes it can find things that are not truth. Like it can find a situation where people are fighting or people are having a question and milk and meat mixed together, but the Torah will always find something to say. The Torah will find the truth within each thing. The Torah is going to tell us how to behave in every single situation. The Torah bends down. On one hand, it's true always, right? But on the other hand, it's going to bend down to every situation, and it's going to have an answer to every single question and every single situation, even if the situation is like a balagan. Because in that balagan, there is a point of truth. Make sense? I'm going to give you some amazing stories and examples. You'll understand it even better. Give me a second. And that's exactly why, by the way, in today's world, even even though the technology is changing and there's innovations, but the Torah that was given 3,000 years ago is still relevant because it was true, it's always true, and it's still now true. And it's not like it's compromising, and it's not like it's going down and changing. It's the same Torah, but it's adapting itself to different situation, and there's the truth of the Torah in every single situation. Okay, so let's look at this, and then we're gonna conclude everything and understand how we work both together. How in actual life, as a Beinoni, we have absolute truth and relative truth, all combination at the same time. So let's look at the truth of Yaakov in the Tanya. He's going to tell us, the Alter Rebbe is going to describe what the attribute of truth is according to Chassidut.
Your screen was black.
Ignore it. It's going to come back. Okay. Okay. There's another thing now that I want to explain to you is the Alter Rebbe is going to bring it in the Tanya, an example of what the absolute truth is. In the Mishkan, there was all around the Mishkan, 3 sides were poles, okay, beams, a bunch of beams, and the 4th side was a curtain. But there was 3. Imagine a big rectangle. 3 sides of the rectangle were a bunch of beams. How were they attached together? There was 3 sticks. I wish I have a picture I saw today. Give me a second. I saw a beautiful video. I didn't. Give me a second. I like the visual. No, it was in YouTube. Sorry. Give me a second.
Yeah. I was considering it.
Oh no, I had a perfect thing earlier today. Maybe I'll look at it. Okay, here it is. Okay, give me a second. This video is a rabbi explaining that whole concept and has amazing visuals. So let me just share it with everybody. Give me a second. Share.
That's what I thought it was. What is it?
It's a dried passion fruit. Okay. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Very good.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, you see this? There's 3 walls and you have a bunch of beams. You can see 2 sticks on the outside, right? There was one on top and one on the bottom. And then that little hole, there was one that was going inside. Let's look at it. Where is it? 1 second. Okay, there was 1 stick going through inside. There's 3. One on top, one on the bottom, and one inside. Okay? Now, I want you to picture the miracle. I think I saw a picture. Okay, just imagine. You see here the full Mishkan. Pretty cool. Now, imagine you put one. How many sticks do you need in order to go in the middle and be going all 3 sides? You would need to have 3 different sticks, right? But there was a miracle over there. The stick that was going in the middle, okay, inside, okay, it actually went inside and it bent at the corner by itself, and it bent at the second corner by itself. It was only 1 beam going all around inside. I thought it was you can see it from here maybe. Anyway, it was actually going inside this hole. It was only 1 stick. The ones that were outside, the one on top and the one on the bottom, there was 3, 1 on each side, 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. But the one that was going in the middle, there was only 1 stick. And the miracle was that it went inside, it bent at the corner, and it bent at the other corner and went back out. Okay? It's metal. It's a miracle. A miracle. But there's a lesson. Everything that Hashem does is because there's a deeper meaning. And today we're going to understand it. This thing is called in Hebrew, Bariach HaTichon. We can call it the middle beam. or the central beam, whichever, or the central pole, whichever one you call it. It's basically a pole that was going central. And it's very interesting. The fact that you look at 3, it's because there's the chesed, there's gvura, and there's tiferet. Okay, there's something harmonizing about this middle pole. And what's amazing is that that's exactly what we're doing. It's a pole the Torah goes through everything. The Barayach HaTichon is the truth. Like that pole is truth. It's a perfect example of like a reality of what truth is. Truth is when it goes through everything, and it's able to bend down when it's necessary. Once, twice, it's gonna bend down, but it's gonna be going through everything, and it's gonna get there. Okay, and the Alter Rebbe is using this specific pole. He's gonna use the Barayach HaTichon, that middle pole, as an example to describe the situation that we're in. That we're staying truth. Okay, it's miraculous that it's going through everything. And it says truth penetrates into every single situation. Okay, and that's why this Barayach HaTichon can go from one extreme to another. Okay, and when we look at this, from this perspective, it's amazing because we see that truth has no limitations. It's able to bend down. It's able to go everywhere, and it's found everywhere, and it's found in every situation. It's found in every person. Okay, because it's truth, and it's able to bend down. That's what I like about this imagery. But it's the Alter Rebbe bringing this. It's pretty cool. So let's look at the words of the Tanya now. 1 second. Oh, sorry, give me a second. I can get out of this video. Okay, here. Yeah, I know. It's a teacher that's giving a class explaining the whole Mishkan. That was the video. I found it because I like the visual for you to understand that stick that goes inside. Okay, now let's look at the Tanya. Okay, we're here. Okay, this is the end actually of chapter 13, by the way. We're finishing it now. Truth is the attribute of Yaakov. As the verse states, you give truth to Yaakov, who is called the middle bolt, which secures everything from end to end. Middle bolt, that's how it's translated here. Barayach HaTichon. It goes from one end, it secures everything from one end to the other. Just as in the middle bolt in the tabernacle, secured and bolted together all the boards by passing through them all. In spiritual terms, this means that the attribute of truth passes from the highest gradations and levels to the end of all grades. Okay, it goes to all levels. In each gradation and level, it passes through the central point of that particular level, which then becomes the point and quality of that level attribute of truth. The attribute of truth is an unbounded inheritance. It has no upper limits as it extends to the highest levels. And all lower level gradation and the levels are as nothing compared with those superiors to them. As it is known to the students of the Kabbalah, the quality that is the head and intellect, the highest level, within lower grades is inferior to the soles and feet, the very lowest level within the higher grades. As our sages say, the feet of the Chayot surpasses all those levels lower than them, including the highest degree with those lower levels. It's comparing here to animals, which we're going to discuss apparently in a later parak, in a later chapter, the comparison to these animals over here. But hopefully you get the idea that we need to, that the truth is able to penetrate and to go through all levels, and it's found everywhere. Okay, just like that beam, that central beam. So now is when I really want, now with the takeaway, you're going to really understand how they both work together. At the same time, there's an internal truth, and at the same time, there's the relative truth of each one. So first, I'm going to summarize what we learned today. Truth, there's a truth that's eternal, okay? And as opposed to that, the lie is temporary, right? That's the ultimate truth. That's one truth. That's when there's one truth. And at first view, it sounds like that's just the tzaddik can achieve it. Only the tzaddik is true. Only the tzaddik is eternal. Okay, a Beinoni, forget it. He has his ups and downs. And but we say that the Beinoni is still truth. He can achieve the truth. Okay, he's able to achieve the truth. And for this, and that's why Hashem's truth is just like that middle bolt. Okay, that central hole that we were talking about. It pierces through every single place in every situation, and every place that has truth in there, every place has truth, and every place can be touched by the truth in that place, respective to that situation. The truth can always touch every single place and every single situation. That's why the truth of the Beinoni is considered truth. Okay, it's not just by the way truth and because we have no other choice, but it's real truth because the person, everybody has inside of him a point of truth. Okay, and with that being said, we still say that the tzaddik has a higher truth. Of course, the tzaddik is definitely a better truth and a more ultimate truth, but the truth of the Beinoni is a real truth. So I'm going to share with you now a story for you to understand this whole idea and bring it together. There was a man, he was part of a delegation from the army, I think, and he sent a letter to the Rebbe, and through a shaliach, and he basically sent a letter to the Rebbe to ask for. He asked in the letter for a blessing on what he does and encouragement. Now, this man that wrote to the Rebbe, he was like a very high person, I think, in the army, and he wasn't keeping anything. Okay, he was not religious. Okay. Just to give you a little, because you'll see the Rebbe's answer. And he's asking a blessing and encouragement from the Rebbe. And the Rebbe answered a few words. He says, the daily behavior should be according to Shulchan Aruch. He should behave every single day according to the entire Shulchan Aruch. So this man, he's not religious at all, and he's shocked. He's like, what kind of an answer is this? Like, what is he expecting from me? Like, I'm sorry. So he's sending a message to the Rebbe, to the secretary, and telling him, you know what, I'm not religious, and there's no way I can do this. Tell the Rebbe, like, something's not really working over here. And so he basically kind of passed on the message, and the Rebbe smiled and told the secretary to tell him like this: when I tell a person who is not keeping Torah and mitzvot, okay, and I tell him to start following the Shulchan Aruch, it says also in the Shulchan Aruch that if you do too much, you're not doing everything. Like there's this idea in Hebrew. There's like a saying in Hebrew. I don't know if maybe somebody can translate for me in English. Tafasta meruba lo tafasta. If you catch too much, you didn't catch anything. Like if you're trying to grab everything, you didn't grab anything. So the Rebbe tells this person, if I'm telling a person that's not keeping anything to follow the Shulchan Aruch includes in there the idea of if you do everything in one shot, you're not going to manage anything. So the Rebbe tells him, so he should do one step at a time. So what is the Rebbe telling? And then the Rebbe told him, you should start. The Rebbe actually goes further and he tells him he should start with kosher and tefillin, and he tells him he should do all the details of kosher, okay, in food and drink, and also all the details of putting tefillin. Okay, he should check his tefillin and put on his tefillin every day. That's what he should start with kosher and tefillin. And as the sages say, mitzvah brings another mitzvah. And also it says that when somebody gets one portion, he wants 200, so he'll get there. What's very interesting in this answer of the Rebbe is we see both truth here. I don't know if you caught it, but there's both truth in here. On one hand, there's no compromises. There's one absolute truth. The Torah is the Torah. It's a Torah for everybody. The full Shulchan Aruch applies to everybody. That there's no compromises. But your personal truth right now, you can't do everything. So do one step at a time. Start with kosher, start with tefillin, start with your personal truth. Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't take away that there's one absolute truth. Like it's not like you only need to keep kosher and you only need to put on tefillin. Everything is applicable to you. But right now, for your personal truth, this is what's expected of you. And the Rebbe we're being told the same idea, that if you do too much in one shot, it's not going to work. We have to do our maximum. We have to do what we're capable of, and we're only expected to do what we're capable of. And Hashem knows. From here, we learn a very, very important lesson in life, that each of us is from another background. Each of us is in another place. Okay, spiritually, physically, like we all have a different story. Okay, we're all in a different place when it comes to keeping Torah and mitzvot. We all have different circumstances. Our family, like I'm saying, there's so many variants in every person's life. Okay. And you can have a person that's becoming chozer b'tshuva, and the wife, the husband is not there yet, or you can have someone that's in the stage of trying to convince their husband, or one is they're both on the same page and they're trying to be chozer b'tshuva, but they have a very hard time with keeping Shabbat. Another one It's a very hard time with keeping kosher. Okay. Each one has a hard time with something else. Each one has another story, and each one has different challenges, and each one has another whole different story. Like some people can have a hard time with covering their hair, growing a beard. I'm saying there's a lot of different mitzvot, and everybody has different difficulties. That's fine. But the problem is that we can think, okay, there's an absolute truth, but I give up on that absolute truth. This is not for me. My truth is what I can do. I can keep kosher. Good, that's good for me. That's my truth. No. Or or sometimes you can think, okay, there's no choice. Okay, like there's no compromises over here. Okay, but we learn that Hashem's truth is everywhere. Hashem's truth is absolute. The Torah is absolute truth. It's in every situation and in every background. The absolute truth is there. It's a truth that's everywhere. Okay, that the Torah is presented to you. Okay, and that's how it is. But at the same time, it's telling you, you have your personal truth within this Torah. Okay, whether it's for you to do one step at a time, or if you need to find a compromise within Torah to do something that should be easier for you, or some whatever, different situations can require the person to do different things, and not everybody is able to keep right now everything completely. So everybody has their own path. Everybody has their personal path, but everybody has to reach their personal truth and their personal highest potential. Now, how do I know what is my truth? Like how am I supposed to know what Hashem expects from me right now? Like, like you can say, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. Like, how do we know? So the Mishnah tells us you need to have a Rav. You must have a rabbi that you, or mentor, or whatever, somebody that we follow and somebody that's keeping track of us. And when we have a certain circumstance that we can't do a certain mitzvah, or something's hard for us, we talk to the rabbi and we say, listen, this is my story. This is my situation. My husband doesn't let me do this. And my child is breaking the Shabbat inside my house. Whatever it is, you tell them the story. And the rabbi is going to tell you what to do in such a situation. You understand? The Torah is always going to be true. But for you, your truth might, the rabbi has a lot of power into changing certain things. For example, just whatever between us women, for example, the Torah tells us, you should have children all the time, like children. What if a lady right now is sick and she's after birth and she's not able to get pregnant right now again? So she can ask the rabbi. She says, right now, listen, I'm like overwhelmed and this and that and that. She calls the rabbi gives her permission to go on birth control, and that's her truth. That's her truth from the rabbi, but this is her truth, and this is according to the Torah, because the Torah says to listen to the rabbi, and the rabbi told her. So in every situation, there's always your personal truth, okay, based on your personal situation. And no answer for one is the same answer for another. Everybody, that's why each one needs to have a relationship with the Rav and call the Rav and figure that out. What? Yeah, everybody according to their circumstances. And that's what we're talking about. There's a truth of the Beinani. The truth of the Beinani is the truth where it's relative to every single person and every single situation. But there's no compromises. Don't forget that there's the ultimate truth, which is the Torah, which is applicable everywhere and all the time. Torah is there. So hopefully you understood that whole concept of truth, of where the Beinani stands, that we have to reach a highest truth potential, and there is at the same time the ultimate truth. And with that, we're finishing chapter 13 today, which dealt with our weaknesses, the weaknesses of the Beinani. We discovered that we have a Yetzer Hara, and the Yetzer Hara is there to stay. So we have to beware, like be alert all the time that there's a Yetzer Hara. That's the work of the Beinani, because we have a Yetzer Hara, we have our weaknesses, and there is a certain expectation from us. So next class, chapter 14 is going to deal with get to know your capabilities, get to know what you're capable of, get to know and we're also going to get to know what's expected of us. Like if we're capable of something, we're expected to do it. Like you can't just say, I don't feel like it. Like there's also, it's not, we have our weaknesses, we have it is hard, it is a struggle, but at the same time, what are we capable of? So we're going to see what's expected of us without compromises as a Beinani. That's what we're going to talk about in chapter 14. Yes. 1 second, let me end.
What if it's like, if it makes you unhappy, like, do you think that you have to